Tired of hearing your blood work is normal, there's nothing wrong with you? This is one of the most common things that we often hear when working with a client, especially a new client. And this is something that I definitely am familiar with. I've experienced in the past too. And as a woman, often we will go to our doctor or our even gynecologist in our 30s, in our 40s, because symptoms start to show up, symptoms start to change. And the thing that you need to understand about blood work is that it's designed to see if you're at a range where a doctor can put you on medication. And so blood work often won't show up as a problem until you're up to 40% deficient. So when it comes to things like thyroid health or hormone balance, or liver problems as well, you could be at 40% deficiency before this shows up on your blood work as a problem. That is a problem. And that's where frequency medicine, frequency testing is so much more beneficial, in my opinion, because we can find deficiency at like 2 to 5%. And so that allows us to be more preventative when it comes to long-term health problems because we're seeing things much sooner. So I went to the doctor in the past because I had all the symptoms that suggested that I had thyroid stuff going on. And my family doctor ran TSH, which is thyroid stimulating hormone, which isn't a complete hormone panel to begin with when it comes to your thyroid, because thyroid stimulating hormone is actually a pituitary hormone, which tells the thyroid like, hey, you need to put some more production of thyroid hormones. But if your numbers are not low enough that the doctor is able to give you a prescription for thyroid, that's going to be an issue. It's also an issue because we're only looking at things from surface level. This is where Western medicine likes to chase symptoms. They like to look at, okay, this is the symptom that you're dealing with. What's something that we can give you that will suppress the symptoms so that you can go about your day, you can go about your life and not be affected by that. But if we're not looking for what's the root cause, why are you having the symptoms to begin with? This isn't really a solution. It's a Band-Aid to the issue. And again, like I said, this is where root cause testing, more of a functional medicine approach, is going to look at what's causing the symptoms that you have. Because thyroid stuff could be because you're in front of devices too often and radiation is affecting the way your organs are functioning. It could be because of things like heavy metals. For me, I've been clearing mold for a long time. I grew up in a house that was probably close to 100 years old. I also lived in many basement apartments, and mold is something that can lie dormant and lie deep in your tissues and make it so that, especially from a hormone perspective, the body's not able to function properly. So that's radiation, mold. There's also parasites. Parasites is one that I remember going to my doctor years ago because I suspected that there was some parasite stuff based on symptoms I was having. And the only question was, have you been in a third world country recently? And that's what I thought too until a couple of years ago, that unless you're going to Mexico, unless you're going to other parts of the world, in North America, we aren't affected by parasites, but we absolutely are. And this is why if we leave these things dormant, parasites hold on to things in your body. Parasites can hold heavy metals, they can hold on to viruses, they can hold on to bacteria like Lyme. And so if you're dealing with a Lyme co-infection or a mold co-infection, mycotoxins, this can be held in your body because parasites are holding on to them. And then as they go throughout their life cycle, they'll release these back into your system. And it can cause a lot of problems for people. I was diagnosed with MS when I was 22 years old, and I've seen a bunch of research and studies recently that talk about how MS can be connected to parasites as well. When you have toxins in your system, chemicals, heavy metals, parasites, basically when there's things in your body that don't belong there or things that are causing stress on your system, your body's main priority is to let you live another day, is to keep you alive and to keep you safe. And so if there are things in the system that don't belong there, the body can encapsulate them and tuck them into areas so that they don't end up in your organs, your glands, your tissues, where they could cause really big problems. So for the woman going into their 40s perspective, a really common thing that women will struggle with through this phase is weight gain. And it's often weight gain that's like, I don't understand what's happening. I'm doing the same things I've always done. There's no change to my diet. I'm exercising. I'm following all these different things that are working for other people, but there's weight gain that I can't wrap my head around. And if you go to your doctor in a situation like this, the solution or the recommendation, it's not a solution, the recommendation is often you need to eat less and exercise more. But I like to look at things and say, why is your body holding on to the weight? Especially if it wasn't a problem in the past, but even still, you're exercising. And if you're eating well, you shouldn't be holding on to the weight. The body doesn't hold on to weight just for fun, just for kicks. Sometimes it's doing it to protect you again and to keep you safe. It can tuck those toxins into your fat cells. It prevents them from going into your brain, into your heart, into your reproductive organs. It's a self-productive or protective mechanism that's really quite brilliant if you think about it, but it's annoying if you're a woman and you're trying to stay healthy and looking healthy and feeling healthy. It's not that it's not possible. It's we need to figure out why your body is doing what it's doing. So weight gain is a common one. Really heavy periods is something that we've seen a lot of recently. Flooding periods. So you're sitting in a chair and you stand up and all of a sudden, uh-oh, there's a problem there. There's also PMS symptoms that maybe you didn't have bad PMS in the past, but all of a sudden, and your cycle is regular and now you're not. This can be because, again, the body's trying to push these things out as efficiently and effectively as it can. And for some people, that's going to be excessive sweating. For some people, it's going to be diarrhea is a common one that we see, but heavy periods, we don't think about this, but your body can be pushing out toxins through period blood. So if this is something that you're dealing with and you've gone to your doctor, I completely understand because this is what we're told is the way to do things. I had a period through my early 30s, actually, where I had no period for a long time. And a lot of women, I would say that, and they were like, oh, you're so lucky. Not really. Looking back, I mean, I thought I was lucky at the time too, but there comes a point where it's like, this isn't normal. And I know this isn't normal. And so what's going on in my body that I'm not having a regular cycle? And so I went to my doctor. The first doctor I went to said, oh, let's put you on the birth control pill. That will help to regulate your cycle. It'll help to balance your hormones. No, it doesn't. Pumping extra hormones into a body that's not regulating hormones normally on its own is not a solution. For me, it was really not a good situation. I ended up having a TIA, which is like a mini stroke. But there's a lot of side effects to every medication that you take has side effects. If you're someone who is on a medication and you're not experiencing any side effects, it doesn't mean that it's not having an effect on your body. Maybe your body is just at a state or in a position where it's so overwhelmed that it can't react. It can't demonstrate for you what's going on in your system. But every medication has a side effect. And for me, the birth control pill, I'm not someone who was worried about not having kids. So it was not a prophylactic reason that I was taking it. I was taking it just to try and regulate my cycle. And it had a really negative impact on me. And there are many women that have stories about how taking the birth control pill can have a negative impact on them. So that was the first doctor that I went to. That was the suggestion that was mentioned. Didn't work, obviously. So I came off of that quickly and was able to kind of recover and avoid that getting worse, because after a TIA, the next step for many people is a full-on stroke. And so thankfully that wasn't the case for me, but it's something to think about. Putting hormones into a body that's not regulating hormones properly is not going to be a good solution. It's like if your toilet was overflowing, continually flushing the toilet is not going to solve your problem. That's going to just leave water all over the floor. So we need to figure out, why is the toilet not working properly? Why is your body not regulating hormones properly? And that's where frequency testing is great, because we test all of the organs and glands in the body to see where is the imbalance and what's causing it. Western medicine is never checking what's causing something. When you do blood work, the blood work is telling either you are at a level where we can put you on medication or you're not. It's pretty much all that you're getting from that information. So went on the pill, that didn't work. Came off the pill. Okay, great. Still had no cycles. A couple years later, I went to another gynecologist. She was very highly respected in the community that I was living in. Everyone said she's amazing. Go see her. So I did. Once again, did blood work, and it came back, guess what? Normal. And once again, I heard your blood work is normal. There's nothing wrong with you. And her next words were, maybe it's all in your head. I had had no period for 5 years. There's nothing about that. That was all in my head. Was there potentially an emotional connection to it? Yes. But that's a very different understanding than saying maybe this is all in your head. And that's where I didn't have access to frequency testing at the time. But if I had, we may have been able to, well, I'm sure we would have been able to dig deeper and figure out what was causing my hormones to be so messed up. So when you're dealing with stuff, especially if you're a woman in your 40s, this is a time where we are conditioned to think that the doctor is the only solution. And I'm not saying that medicine doesn't have its place. When there's emergencies, when there's things going on that need really quick, like if you broke your arm, don't come to me. I can frequency test you to tell you what support's going to help your body recover and prevent long-term effects of that. But I don't deal with emergencies. That's where Western medicine is very beneficial. But when it comes to symptoms that have been coming back for a while, or any kind of imbalance in the body, like changes to your period, like hot flashes, like brain fog, night sweats, mood swings is something that we've heard a bunch recently too, just kind of raging before your period. This is often connected to liver, which is something that Western medicine, I mean, many women are put on antidepressants, which is a really unfortunate situation, because that's one that is very hard to come off of. So is thyroid medication. Often the solution is, let's put you on this, and then we'll just keep adjusting the doses up and down as you need it. But it's similar to when I was put on the MS medication in late 20s. And I said to the doctor, okay, so how long-term is this? How long am I going to be taking this? And the doctor said, well, forever, for the rest of your life. And anything that you're taking for the rest of your life, what does that tell us? It's not actually solving the problem. It's just putting a Band-Aid on the symptoms so that you can hopefully function a bit better. That's the goal. But if you're a woman in your 40s, or if you're anyone that's dealing with symptoms that keep coming back, or you've gone to your doctor and you've heard your blood work is normal, there's nothing wrong with you, you don't have to just accept this. Blood work only comes up as a problem when you're at 40% deficiency, or even more for some situations. And so this is where you kind of need to take things into your own hands a little bit. Sorry to say, but reach out to a practitioner who does muscle testing, frequency testing. Look for a functional medicine option that's going to help you dig deeper and figure out what's the root cause of your symptoms. If this is something that you've been frustrated with, book a free discovery call with us. I'd be more than happy to have a conversation with you. We've helped hundreds of women dealing with period changes, any kind of hormone imbalance issues, symptoms leading after their 40s that come up that no one seems to have an answer for. When we can figure out the root cause of your issues, this is when health returns. This is when things get better. This is when you don't have to just suck it up and live with the symptoms that you're dealing with. You can feel better. And I'd be more than happy to have a free conversation with you to see if you're a good fit to work with us. So I'm Kate McDowell from Aligned Natural Health. Hopefully you got some value